Someone told me a fact this morning, and I guess I couldn't get it out of my head. Followed by another fact, which now I'm like, oh, my head is just swarming with these, facts. Like, what? And the first one that I was told, and these were told in quick succession, which is for me, you're putting too much things in my head at the same time, because I don't know, I get interested in everything, whatever's happening. I just get so like what, then it opens a rabbit hole, but now you can't go down a rabbit hole if another rabbit hole opens up. It's like, anyways, so so the first fact is apparently the pain of a period, like a woman, during her menstruation. That pain is similar to the pain of a heart attack in terms of, I don't know how they measure pain, but I guess the levels are the same. Which is interesting, because I've never had a heart attack, so I wouldn't know. And then the other one was even wilder. I was told that I was told that nobody knows where eels come from. They say they can't find, like, they don't have reproductive organs. Electric eels, eels like those insane looking creatures in the ocean. Definitely one of the main reasons why I would never find myself in the ocean. Not even close to it, dude, to be honest. I have many reasons, but we'll get into that later. Nobody knows where eels come from. They don't have any reproductive organs. And for some reason, on a cycle like clockwork, all of them swim towards the Bermuda Triangle. And they all kind of get together. I don't know, is it a conference? Some kind of, executive committee. But they all go there and then they disperse again after that. And the Bermuda Triangle is obviously there's a lot of eerie mystery, surrounding it, because that's where planes disappear and then they're never seen again. The wreckage is never found, or the instruments that keep planes in the sky just sort of fail in that area, and then it just crashes. Ships go missing in that area. There's a lot of unexplained weird energy readings. If you take a sensitive equipment, designed to measure those types of levels, that's curious. So so now I can't stop thinking about that. But anyways, let's start the show. Welcome to a new episode, everybody. This is totally new, not totally new, but I'm trying to compare an episode that is totally, unstructured versus one that is. Sometimes it can work when you do something that's unstructured, and sometimes not. So, whatever it is, I'm just gonna get into it. I'm just gonna take my shot in the dark, and let's see if we can find the light together, huh? But yeah, earlier, like I said, there are many reasons why I wouldn't get into the ocean, and I'm gonna name them. The first thing is sharks, dude. Sharks. Have you not seen how big they are? Those things are killers, dude. Look at their eyes, like it's just this darkness. They just have, this killer instinct, and that's nature. That's nature. Like I think it's wild that people have wild animals as pets, because are you insane, man? And then they're like, oh, he raised the lion from birth, but then the lion, wow, just killed him. Like, obviously, dude, that's a wild animal. You cannot take the wild out of the animal, even if you take the animal out of the wild, dude. That thing has instincts that have been built into it over the course of, several million years. It's like you're not gonna tame that creature. You're not gonna kill the killer instinct that thing has, man. That's wild to even think that you're safe around such a thing, And Mike Tyson has I know I was talking about the ocean, and now I'm just veering off topic once again. I'm like that driver who I saw this video. You see there, I go even in a deeper tangent. But anyways, we'll find our way back. You just hold on. um let's try and find the light switch, huh? What was I saying? Oh, so Mike Tyson has pet tigers, right? And he plays with them. But even he is aware of the fact that the way that these creatures look at him, at any moment they can decide to just, just attack him. And I believe they have. He has been injured by his pet tigers. But he says he knows he's not safe. He knows he cannot trust this animal, even though this animal has known him since this animal was born. It's like, yeah, but it can still ruin my life. And the thing is that I also find it wild, like, these creatures are so big, like lions and tigers are huge, right? And a part of the same cat family, you get like little cats, little house cats. But even those ones, if they go, they can also like, scratch you and bite you. And those things are vicious killers, man. They are able to do that. I mean, you can Google it. You can do an internet search of how many cases there have been where a neighbors start smelling like this terrible smell coming from next door, or coming from across the street, or across the hallway, or whatever, if you live in an apartment. And upon investigation, they find that the owner is normally an old person who has a couple of cats, has died without anyone noticing. And the cats have eaten part of her body, like like cats, dude. That is like, your pet who loves you will even eat you, dude. And that's a pet. That's an animal that has been domesticated over who knows how many generations, right? And even that thing will still eat its master. Come on, man. So now you think you're safe around a tiger, when a cat can be so vicious. And I don't like cats personally, because they are quite I'm just thinking, did I hit record? Did I hit record? I did hit record, sorry. Sometimes I wonder about that. Yo, it would be terrible. Am I recording here? Yes, I am. Okay. Yo. Just had some fear in me. Imagine if I'd been talking to you the whole time and there was no, then I wouldn't be talking to you. Oh my word. Anyways, so imagine a cat. That thing is so vicious. It's so small, but it's vicious, man. It can, it can really, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily leave your child unattended with a cat, for example, or even a dog. You'd be around, unless you're certain that animal will not attack or harm your child, like your baby. But nonetheless, even if you feel that, you still can't completely trust it. There's been wild cases of like, oh, and that's why some dogs get a bad rap, because they're like, oh, pit bulls are so dangerous. It ate my son. Like, nah, dude, you're just I almost dropped a S-bomb there. My apologies. You're just a bad parent. If you leave your child unattended and you have a dangerous animal living in your house, and that dangerous animal does what dangerous animals do and kill, why are you surprised, dude? Did you expect that not to happen? Like, just have some sense. I remember when I was a kid, there was a saying that people said. It's like, oh, like whenever when it's clear that someone has made a poor decision, that seems totally counterintuitive in the first place. So it's like, why would that person even decide such a thing? Then you say, oh, common sense is not so common. And so some people just don't have sense, man. And I don't think it's common sense. I don't think there's such a thing as common sense, because there's so many human beings in this planet, and each of them have a unique experience. So how can there be a common sense? It's not exactly obvious. Well, not like there cannot be things that are obvious to everybody. We all have different mental capacities. Some people are geniuses, and if you're like me, you may be a bit of an idiot. And you just you're not going to think the same way that somebody else does. Maybe there's a few things we know, like fire is hot, fire bad, it burn. But there's a lot of people that get burned by playing with fire. It's like okay, so that's not exactly. There's a lot about that. Anyways, we're getting back to animals, and then after that we need to go back to the ocean. Okay, the ocean. And then what was I saying again? Oh, yeah. So now back to it. Like, people have these huge vicious animals as pets. It's like that thing can mess you up. If it doesn't kill you, it can definitely maim you. It can take a limb. There was a guy a couple of years ago, and I think this is like a zoo. It's not a zoo. It's like some kind of those enclosures where they keep wild animals, like where they keep lions and tigers and all those things. These centers and all that. And this guy decided to just put his hand, in the fence, like put his finger through the fence. And a lion, it took his finger, dude. Like, you're not gonna, don't mess with the lion, dude. Don't mess with wild animals. Are you out of your mind, But that leads me to my bigger point here, and it's the ocean, okay? We are not built to swim the way that they are built to swim. Yeah, sure, we're built to swim, And in fact, there is a school of scientists, or a group of scientists who agree. I don't think it's commonly accepted by the scientific community as a whole, But because there's always going to be disagreements, and that's the advantage of science, is that there's always debate. Backed up by this evidence. I presented my evidence, you present your evidence, and we get into it. We, try and find a common conclusion here, a conclusion based on both of our evidence being presented. Because if I have actual evidence and you have actual evidence, and our evidence is in conflict with each other, how can that be? Surely there must be a bigger explanation that takes into account both sides of the evidence that's presented. So anyway, what some of these scientists believe is that during our evolution as humans, as hominids, from the time that hominids were a thing, right? We've obviously spread out throughout the world, with the center, with the origin being, that's commonly agreed as being in Africa, in southern Africa, the southern region of this continent. And so that's where one can accept that that's where human beings started evolving. And part of our evolution apparently involved spending lots of time in water, according to these scientists. And that is how we lost our furriness. That's in a manner of speaking. Obviously it takes millions of years to evolve in a certain direction, but because hair weighs you down in the water, and the less hair you have, and you can even ask swimmers, this professional swimmers, the less hair you have on your body, the more dynamic you can be in the water, hydrodynamic. And so that's an adaptation that they believe because they can't really explain why we don't have as much hair on our bodies as our closest relatives, evolutionarily speaking. And how did it become the case that as we track all the anthropological evidence, paleontological evidence, wow, that's quite a mouthful, but as they track the evidence that they've discovered over the course of who knows how many, it's just a few hundred years actually, the field of archaeology, of anthropology, of paleontology, the study of fossils and historical evidence and all those things, they are relatively new compared to some of the other sciences. Mathematics is real old, astronomy is real old, philosophy is even older, dude. Like, philosophy might be the first one of the first things, man. Music, the study of music is even older than that. It's crazy. We've come such a long way as human beings, man. And we're living in the best time. We really are. But anyways, so we are not exactly built to swim. Look how I came back to the topic, huh? That's awesome. I feel like I'm getting better at this, at having some conversations with you. And thank you for joining me. I guess I haven't even said that. Well, I did say welcome, but thank you for joining me. And I hope you enjoy the show. The 17 or 18 of you, but I'm not fazed by it. I don't necessarily want to, my main goal is not about that. Anyways, I'm floundering. Let's get back to the topic at hand, because I'd like to get through this. What was I saying again? Happens all the time. Where was I? Oh. So we are not built for the water necessarily, Maybe we've adapted when it became necessary for us to spend some time in water, to hunt for fish, to maybe to get across bodies of water. We've needed to develop that ability, by losing the hair that has been on our bodies, for millions of years. And then, but we're not as good in the water as fish are, because they've spent their entire evolutionary path in the water. Some of them not. For example, the mammals that are, in the ocean mammals, dolphins and whales and is it just dolphins and whales? Well, I guess there's a lot of different types of dolphins and whales, and they all kind of fall into a similar category, but whatever. Anyways, so these mammals that are in the sea, apparently, they were on the land. They came from the land, that's where most land creatures came from. They came from the ocean, spent some time on the land, a few million years, and then the ones that are currently mammals in the ocean are ones that have returned to the ocean, and adapted the ability to breathe, oxygen, but with the ability to spend a lot of time in the ocean, and one can agree. Right, you in all food chains, you get the apex predator, the main guy, the big boss, and we can all agree that those are the sharks, man. Where are the sharks? In the ocean. Are they far away from where we might spend time in the ocean? No, they are there with us, dude. And it's their domain. It's like, I'm not gonna now imagine, what do you do with a trespasser? If someone trespasses, let's say you have a gun and someone is trespassing on your property, you maybe not going to fire shots at that person, but you're obviously going to use it to defend yourself if the need arises. But we think sharks, they act completely on instinct, dude. On instinct. They don't think. They just there's an intruder. And it's over. It's over for your leg or your arm, And it happens to surfers all the time. It's so sad, to do what you love in the ocean, lots of risks, It's just not a risk I'm willing to take. You go and you surf. I'd love to surf, though. I would love to surf, but I don't know about surfing in the ocean. And fortunately, there's a lot of technology out there now where you can basically create a body of water, and you can use water pumps and machines to create waves, of whatever desired size you want, which is insane. That is brilliant. So I think I'll learn to surf there. Thank you very much, because surfing looks fun, but the ocean factor is what bothers me, because there's a lot of things in the ocean. I'll give you another reason. So that's my first reason, is that there are sharks in the ocean, and they will eat you, dude. They're not gonna give you a second thought. They don't care. They don't be like, oh, but this person's family will be so sad with they're just like, ah, and then it's over. It's over for you. Your life is done, or your life is never the same again if it does, get you. But anyways, so I'm thinking I should, one day I'm gonna sell T-shirts, just as merchandise for the channel, and maybe the T-shirt could say. But anyways, because I seem to say that a lot, and what's weird is when I speak to people, I don't say "but anyways." It's literally just with myself, and my theory is just that when I say "but anyways," that's normally if I'm in conversation, that's when the person responds to what I'm saying, because that's how conversation works. It's an exchange of ideas, an exchange of words, input, process, feedback in the form of input, process, feedback in the form of input. And so, it's and that's how conversation is done, which is beautiful and exciting, and hopefully soon, I think once I have a different place to be, I can definitely have guests, and I know that I've been saying that. Because I really want to have guests, man. I was at a what you call it. I actually attended an interview. It wasn't my interview. I didn't conduct the interview, nor was I the person being interviewed. And it was basically the leader of our church, let's say, because our church is international. The church that I'm a part of is the New Apostolic Church. I'm a proud neck. And the leader of the New Apostolic Church, Southern Africa, all right? Obviously, it's it's an international church, so, there has to be leaders in the various areas. And the leader of the South African region, the district apostle, his name is Peter Lambert. And it was amazing to speak to him, before the interview. I just had to, I could exchange some words with him, and it was incredible. I feel like I was a bit of a fanboy actually, because I the thing is, when I was a little boy, let me explain this properly. When I was a little boy, at the time I was already learning to play the piano. From when I was 7 years old, I started learning to play the piano. And the New Apostolic Church produces music, they do videos and CDs and stuff, and so you could purchase them, and we had a few of these DVDs of their musical performances. And the video that I'm talking about now is one where they performed Zadok the priest. It is the coronation anthem that they use whenever a new king or queen in England is inaugurated or got coronated. That's the word, yeah. So it's the coronation anthem, and it's also the piece that the UEFA Champions League theme song is based on. So that's also something cool, something interesting. But anyways, and then where was I going with this? Oh, so the video was this other guy, John Rodrigues, playing on the organ, right? Playing the accompaniment. It's normally accompanied by an orchestra, I think, a string orchestra, some oboes. That's how it works. And I think there's maybe some timpanis. Anyways, getting off the point here. But we're already far away from my original point. But it's okay. We'll find a way back. I believe in it. And even if we don't, where's the harm? So I almost said, but anyways, and there I just said it. Anyways. So I watched him play the organ, and I had been a pianist, and I saw an organ in church before, and I was like, I wonder, that's not a piano, that's a whole different instrument. What is that, Curious. And this came out in 2005. So in 2005, I was 9, dude. I was 9 years old. I was in grade 3. In grade 1. Grade 2 actually, I started playing the piano. So in grade 3, then I saw this guy playing on the organ, and it's building, and he's just he's just changing the organ stops, and it's just the pieces build. It's the introduction builds and builds and builds, and then the choir sings Zadok the priest. Sorry, my soprano voice is not there, because I'm a man. I sing tenor. And even then I sometimes struggle with tenor, because I was in choir practice on Tuesday. It's currently Thursday. I'm filming this on Thursday. I was in choir practice on Tuesday, and I wasn't conducting the choir. Normally, I am the person conducting the choir, so it was nice to be part of the choir. And I was singing in the tenor row, which is before I was conducting the choir ever. I was a tenor, so it's like, okay, I can sing tenor again. And wow, what a challenge that was. So that's interesting. But anyways, so it's Zadok the priest, and but I never noticed the conductor. Just the organist, and there's a solo part for the organist, and it's really complicated, and it looks challenging, and it's fast, and it's difficult, and I was enamored by that. I was like, I'm gonna learn to play the organ, and so I did. Fast forward a few years later, the video shows again, like because you go back and you watch this because you like to consume this content. This is before everything was available on YouTube and on you just search it and all that. So it was just DVD. You put that DVD in, son, and you play it, and then it just so happened, I think I was maybe around I was 12 or 13. So this is like 3 or 4 years later. I see the video again, and I already know the organ thing because I'd watched the video like a million times, so I wasn't really paying attention to the organist, right? And then I saw the conductor, and then the way he conducted, he just had total control over everything that was being done. The way that he moved was the exact way that the choir sang, And immediately I understood the relationship there is that this person is responsible for the choir singing. Yes, there are a bunch of voices, but his job is to put it all together, and his job is to communicate what he wants to hear just by using his gesture, just by using his body language, just by using his face, and I was blown away by that. And then I began obsessing with conducting. And then, because in church there was always choir conductors, I just never paid attention to them. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to sing in the choir. I'm going to learn what conducting is. And then there was a conductor, and then he offered to teach it. I was like, absolutely, teach me, And ever since then, wherever we go, wherever we've moved, because as you know, we've moved around a lot in our lives as a family. So wherever we've moved, pay attention to the conductor. Just steal with the eye, even if it's a conductor who's not a great teacher but a decent conductor, you steal with the eye, and you're like, okay, that's what I can do. And then as you grow in your musical ability as well, your understanding of music is a bit better. Your understanding of how a choir works, how a choir sings, how certain pieces are to be performed, then you can see, okay, I don't agree necessarily with his interpretation. Not that there's anything wrong with his or her interpretation. It's just that I have a different interpretation that I wouldn't mind trying out, And then you get like, it's semi-formal lessons basically, and then you ask someone, can you please teach me what you know? And then they do, and then you take that and you move forward, and then you meet someone who was directly trained by the same guy that conducted Zadok the priest. That was Peter Lambert. Peter Lambert conducted Zadok the priest. And then I met a guy, his name is Julian McCreel. I feel like I'm name dropping. You might not know who he is, but man, one of the best people I've ever met in my whole life. And I'm a great admirer of his, and he's played a very important role in my life and in my brother's life. He's very near and dear to our hearts. But anyways, so he was directly trained by the guy who's conducting Zadok the priest, and then he's like, come and teach you guys. And I was like, oh my word, I can't believe this is happening, And the rest is history. And then I looked for more teachers, and eventually found someone who was also a conductor within the New Apostolic Church in the same capacity as Peter Lambert was, And he's also brilliant. He obviously has a different way of doing things, and that interested me because I know, if you take two professional pianists and they play the same piece, it's not going to sound the same. They have different interpretations. They have different ways of playing, softly, different ways of playing loudly, different emotions that they are trying to evoke in the listener. And so even with him as a conductor who does things a little bit differently, who's more based in orchestra music than in choir music, you're like, okay, I'd like to learn from you, and then he teaches you. And we did like WhatsApp lessons, like, WhatsApp video calls, and then I would just feel like an idiot just waving my hands around, and he would like, just give some positive feedback, and then that would help me to improve my technique. Now, I'm not a perfect conductor. I'm not a great conductor. I'm maybe not even a good conductor by any stretch, but the value that I've had, and that has been the story of, since watching, like, where I am now as a choir conductor, as an organist, doing it professionally, even like getting paid to do this thing. It's incredible. And it all started with that guy, with Peter Lambert, conducting Zadok the priest, in 2005. Almost 20 years later. It's 2024. I finally get to shake the man's hand, and I get to tell him the impact that he's had on me. But I was a total fanboy about it, much to my shame, because I was just overwhelmed by the moment, and the things that I wanted to say, I wanted to tell him that that he inspired me to do this. And I kind of just told him, I'm a conductor because of you. It's like I went crazy, so I wonder what he thought of me, but I don't regret anything, actually. It was incredible to meet him, and it was nice to interview him, but that made me feel like, wow, man, I just wish I could get to that point of interviewing somebody, because I got to sit there, and literally I was holding one of the phones that filmed the interview, and that was awesome. That was incredible, and even the tripod that you are sitting on right now, I don't know why you're sitting on a tripod, you weirdo. But it was this exact tripod that was used for that interview, and it was just exciting. It was just, everything about it was awesome, and then I just felt again like, oh man, I really love to have a guest on, I really, because imagine once he's in town again, and having the space to be able to interview him, like, oh my word, that would be perfect, But there's so many other people I would love to interview as well, I'd love to interview theologians. I would love to interview musicians. I'd love to interview entrepreneurs and business people, lawyers, doctors, people from all walks of life, and just get to know you a little bit, That's what I want to do. Because and it's basically, if you do something that I'm interested in, that's who I want to talk to, and whether or not that gains, a massive amount of views or subscribers is kind of besides the point. Although it is my responsibility as I have a responsibility towards my goals to encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already. Please do. I'm trying to build this channel so that I can actually have the means, I can create the means of interviewing people, because I cannot wait to do that. I would love to do that, Conversation has been one of my favorite things to do since I could speak. Just asking questions and hearing the answers and being asked questions in return. It's like, man, the conversation is beautiful, And that's like my ideal thing, like the friends that I've had, the really good friends that I've had over the past 5 or 6 years, My favorite times have just been where I could sit with them, we could sit together, 2, 3, 4 of us, and just talk, man. Just talk. We don't have to be on our phones. Maybe we can play some music. That's fine, music in the background. But the source of entertainment was really the nature of conversation. It's like, oh man, I love that. That's actually what sparked the idea of doing a podcast. And every time when we would speak, I'd be like, we should have filmed that. We should have put that on YouTube. I'm sure other people would have found that just as interesting. So I'm excited for that. I think it's going to be a really cool direction to go into, and honestly, I just can't wait to do it. But where was I? I was talking about Okay, so we talked about eels, the strangeness of the ocean, sharks, the dangers of the ocean, right? Now, here's my biggest reason, okay? My biggest reason for not going into the ocean, not wanting to be in the ocean, right? Is that the exploration of the ocean was a project that was, started in maybe the 1950s or the 1940s even. People would dive, and submarines would go, in and around the ocean for research purposes, not for war purposes, although that was a major distraction as human society for a long time. And war is always a distraction. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Whatever's going on in Israel and Palestine right now, whatever's going on in the Ukraine and Russia, it's a distraction from the progress of our society as human beings. It's a hindrance. It's a hindrance. Even the wars that are happening in Sudan and in the DRC and in the Central African Republic and in Mozambique, can we just I'm not gonna be all hippie about it, but if we truly want to progress as humanity, we need to stop these unnecessary conflicts, just because we're from a different country. And by the way, the idea of a country is kind of silly, because there's this arbitrary line that was drawn on a map, and that decided that this is my country and that's your country. You stay away, you stay out. It's so silly, because if you walk around there's no real natural barriers to deciding that this is yours and this is mine. It doesn't make any sense. We're all part of the same earth, man. If you take a picture in America of a forest, and you take another picture in Germany of a forest, you would not be able to tell which forest is where. It's the same planet. We are all human beings. We all have similar features. We all have similar characteristics. We've got language. We've got technology. We've got science. We've got music. And all of these things have developed in so many different places in the world, and yet it's all the same things. How is that possible? Because we're human beings. We're the same. We're the same in ways that matter. And I just think if we coordinate our efforts, we could really achieve some good things in the world. But yeah, that's just my silly fantasy. Maybe when AI becomes president, then AI can fix that. The world president. Because that's also crazy, the fact that we have so many different leaders in the world. Jeez, let's have one. That solves the one, and then all that person does is delegate the responsibilities to the other people who basically run the other countries. But even those people who run the other countries, they're just there to do the job of sorting out that country, and then they have people underneath them to sort things out, which is kind of how governments work, but it's not exactly structured in the way that I think is correct, man. Like let's start from the bottom, right? You get a leader of a suburb. That's a councillor. This person is responsible for this suburb, this area, the roads, the homelessness, the housing, the education, if it's factored in, all of that person is responsible, and that person has different departments to run for that thing, right? That's now the let's say the ward, right? And so you put a few wards together, or you put a bunch of wards together, and then you have a municipality. Then there's a leader, that's the mayor, or the municipal manager, whoever. So that person is responsible for overseeing the councillors to make sure that they do everything that needs to be done, and then you take it further, you go in the provinces, okay, so now the provincial leader is responsible for all the municipal leaders, and then you get the national leader being the president. He's responsible for all the provincial leaders and all the leaders of the different departments, because obviously you need people that, you need an expert in medicine to be the minister of health. You need an expert in engineering and science to be in charge of energy, of the minister to be the minister of energy. You need an expert in education to be the minister of education. Is that the case now? No, but it's okay. We understand that as human beings, we focus on all the unnecessary factors involved in putting someone in a position of leadership, and without any taking into the without taking into account that this person is now responsible for a certain area, and if that person responsible for a certain area is not an expert, and I don't think it's too much to ask someone to be an expert in something. If you it's like, dude, imagine, like, I've never studied medicine. I watch medical shows. That's about as far as I go. Are you gonna make me the minister of health, dude? Or don't you think you should rather take someone who is a doctor, was a nurse, knows how to run a hospital, knows how to, run several hospitals? Because that's the health system. That's the healthcare system. Why don't you put that person in charge? Why must it be that this person was simply voted for by the people and that's who is in charge? No, that's ridiculous. Now politics gets in the way, and that's what it is, right? It's another hindrance. Politics is another hindrance. But anyways, let's take it further. So you have the president responsible for the different leaders who. All the leaders are responsible for different departments, different provinces, right? You have that. That works. That system kind of works. Not really, because you make political appointments of people who don't know what they're doing in certain positions. They're profiting big time because their friends are the ones who are running the projects that they get to approve, and then their friends just give them some money to say, hey, if you approve the contract for us, we will give you, a few million as a part of the contract, which happens, and you can't change corruption, man. It's a human phenomenon. Anyways, so you take it a step further, and you've got the president. Okay, now the president, we shouldn't call him the president, but okay, let's say the national leader. The national leader should be able to answer to the world leader, the person who's responsible for all the national leaders, and I think if that happens, right now we have the United Nations for that, and the United Nations has mixed agendas, and that's the problem. But imagine if we had the president of the president of Earth, and then the president of Earth gets to liaise with the president of another planet. We exchange ideas, we exchange information, we exchange technology, and you give the best of yours, we give the best of ours, and that's how you grow. And if that can start from the beginning, then there's no need for conflict, there's no need for war, there's no need for politics. It's all nonsense. You have to you have to use that as a hindrance to progress. I think it's a real issue. It's a real issue. But anyways, I'm not gonna get into that. I don't wanna get all political about these things. But I think that's possibly the solution. If we put experts in charge and we hold them accountable for their decisions, have a proper disciplinary process involved in combating, corruption, fixing the system where we discover a loophole. How is this person able to get away with this level of corruption? Let's change the system. Let's figure out how to eradicate the problem so that it never happens again. Use experts in other fields to make that happen. Take it a step further. Figure out the energy thing, the pollution thing, the homelessness thing, whatever the biggest problems in our society are. Education, housing, health. Those are the big ones, I think. Education, housing, and health. I think those are the big ones. Anyway, so what if we just put experts in those fields to solve those problems? Is that a bad idea? Or should we put people in charge who have no expertise in the fields that they are responsible for? Should we do that rather? I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem like a reasonable thing to do, but we do it. It's it's counterintuitive. But anyways, how long has this been going on? Let me just check the time here. Oh wow, 45 minutes. Okay. Anyways, what was I saying before? Let's try and get back to the original point here, which was that so the governments, I don't know if it's the governments of the world, but the governments who could, they were exploring the ocean floor and trying to map it out, try and figure out what is here under this water, what is this mysterious realm. Let's shed some light, let's figure it out, let's learn all about it. And then suddenly, I think it was somewhere in the 1950s and the 1960s, it completely stopped. Did it stop, in a how can I say, in a progressive fashion? No. It stopped once off. No more exploration of the ocean. What is there? What did they find? What did they see? You have to think about these things, man, because what are we, what is happening? What is in the ocean? What don't we know? Anyways, so yeah, that's a lot to think about. So anyways, that's why I don't want to be in the ocean, man. I don't want to be in the ocean. I'm not gonna be a victim of other people's suppressed information. I'm not gonna be the victim of a shark attack. And besides that, let's just do this as well. Okay, let's add this. Okay, we've got sharks, we've got eels, and we have some unknown things in the ocean. Okay. Let's not forget that the ocean is wild, it's volatile, it's moving all the time, right? And if a storm comes in and you just find yourself in the ocean, dude, it's over. You've drowned. You're dead. They're not going to find your body. There's someone who was swept away. I saw this on Reddit, actually. And sometimes Reddit kind of scares me. But it's okay to be scared sometimes, because you need to be exposed to the realities of life. But anyways, so it's a lady and a man. They just there by the ocean, and it looks like it's getting a bit wild. They're just standing there, the water goes by their knee level. And then a stronger wave comes and pulls her into the ocean, and the man is like, oh no, and there she goes. And the video keeps rolling, but there's nobody there. There's nobody there. She's gone. They're still looking for her. But when someone gets lost in the ocean, man, they almost never find you unless you wash up on shore, or rather, unless your body washes up on shore. So let's not do this. I don't want to be in the ocean, man. I don't want to be. So there we go. There's my 4 reasons. In the space of 47 minutes, 48 minutes now. In the space of 48 minutes, I've explained to you why I do not want to get into the ocean. Screw that. Forgive my language. But yeah, so let's see. What have I spoken about already? Okay, the ocean. Spoken about having pets or having wild animals as pets, And that's a cool thing. That's a cool thing to have, It's exotic. It's different. But it's dangerous, dude. Let's not forget the danger involved, And yeah, I mean, why would you want to have a pet that even if it can love you back, you're still in danger? Nah, man. We're trying to avert danger. That's how human society, that's how we propagate the species, by avoiding danger, We avoid unnecessary danger. There are necessary dangers, and that's what makes us survivors, If you think about this, it's actually a cool thought, Every single one of your ancestors has survived successfully. And successful survival only means surviving to the point where you get to propagate the species, meaning you get to deliver offspring into the world, And then that offspring carries on and survives, and then that also produces offspring. And that is where you come from, man. Every single one of your ancestors has reproduced successfully, has survived successfully on this wild planet that we have, Before heaters were a thing, everybody just had fire. Like, you make a fire and then you're warm, There was no heater. They survived on that. Before houses were built, people were living in caves, dude. They just found a way to survive. It's incredible. Before there was fire, before people knew how to make fire or manipulate fire or control fire, they were just eating raw meat, with all the diseases that might come from that. But they survived. They were resilient, And I think a lot of us just dishonor our ancestors by being weak, man. I can't eat that. I have allergies. I know it's not fair actually to make fun of people with allergies. I have allergies too, dude. Like I don't know. I can't enjoy a mango without being all. I need medicine, But that's not how we dishonor our ancestors. We dishonor our ancestors simply because we live too much in comfort. We live too much in comfort, dude. Why would we exist in such a hostile environment? Right now in my bedroom, right now I get sunlight. There's a building across, like in the view of my window. And that's funny enough, it's a municipal building, and the sun rises in winter. The sun only shines once it has cleared the path of this building. So most of the early morning, from 7 until about, actually, let's say from 7 until about 8, the sun does not shine into my room. And then from 8 o'clock, okay, my room is nice and sunny. By the time 11 comes around, there is no longer sun in my room. And that's when the temperature drops dramatically, So it's like, even though I'm sheltered, I'm still experiencing the hostile environment. So imagine if I'm outside. Imagine if I live outside, dude. That's brutal, And most of us probably wouldn't survive. I don't know if I would survive, But we need to do our ancestors justice by challenging ourselves, by making our bodies stronger, by making our health better, by, making decisions that are better for our survival, And I think in this world full of luxuries and full of comforts and full of pleasures, we are truly harming ourselves with respect to survival. Because if World War III can break out and there's nuclear war, it is going to decimate the world's population. It is going to disrupt what we think of as an economy. It's going to completely collapse, right? Society will never be the same again. Money will have no value. Do you think you're going to survive? With your, my phone is flat. Where's the charger? You think you're going to survive, dude? You that's like, I'm hungry. I haven't had McDonald's in 2 days. I should have more McDonald's. Like, okay, dude, you're a real survivor, man. Yeah, you're definitely gonna be the answer to our survival. Nah, man, it's gonna be the guy, the lady, whoever, whatever you are, that takes the best care of themselves, makes healthy decisions, makes adult fitness, makes healthy food and eats it. Spends a lot of time in the sunlight, drinks lots of water, That's someone who's going to be resilient enough to survive whatever horrors might face humanity in the future. Because there's always going to be that thing, There are some countries that you would have never figured would have war. They do now, dude. You'd think that in that area now, war is a thing of the past. War is never a thing of the past. If two leaders can disagree, it's going to be that we're up in arms, man. And what's crazy is, and this is the absurd thing, the most absurd thing about war, I think, is that the carnage is, astronomical. There's so much death, so much damage, all because this leader and this leader do not agree on something that's maybe irrelevant, man. Maybe not irrelevant, like belief systems. And that's always going to be our biggest source of conflict is belief systems. But if I can just respect your belief system and you can respect my belief system, nobody has to die. Nobody has to hold the corpse of their 3-year-old child. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has to say goodbye to their husband or their son and wonder if they'll ever see them again. Because that's what a soldier is. A soldier is somebody's husband. A soldier is somebody's son, somebody's father, maybe. And now two sides of the or two armies, two opposing forces. Under any other circumstances, maybe this soldier and that soldier could have had a beer together, could have had a nice conversation, could have just chilled, could have been friends. But simply because their leaders decided, we should attack each other, let's murder each other. It's absurd, man. When are we gonna let that go? When are we gonna live? When are we gonna live to serve the progress of humanity, man? Come on. When are we gonna do that? When are we gonna let go of war and suffering and selfishness and self-importance? Like, when are we gonna let go of that? I hope it's soon. I hope it's soon. I hope that soon we can look back at all these unnecessary conflicts and sufferings and realize that it was totally unnecessary, and we'll probably never have to experience it again, because everything is about decisions. The only thing that's not in our control as humanity is natural disasters. But I believe that the technology will come where we are able to control the weather and avoid these horrible disasters from taking place. Volcanic eruptions that displace millions of people, kill millions of people, destroy how many people's houses, how many people's lives, hurricanes that sweep through an area and just decimate the whole land, without any chance of truly escaping. It's crazy, man. All these tsunamis and storms, and it's crazy. And those are the only things that we don't have control over. But everything else, man, it's all about decisions. The decision to go to war, the decision to make peace, the decision to avoid war as much as possible, the decision to remove our differences and rather celebrate our similarities. Our differences are not important. They're not as important as you think. It's nice to be a unique individual, but if my group and your group are different, that should be irrelevant. Those differences should be irrelevant, man. But those are complicated things, and it's not enough for this idiot to figure out, But nobody comes to me for the answers, and nor should you. I'm not one to provide the solutions. I'm not an expert in anything, actually. I'm what you call a jack of all trades and a master of none. But apparently that's half the saying. The full saying goes, it is better to be, like, this is just the continuation. It is better to be a jack of all trades than a master of one. And I like that. I think that was Shakespeare. And Shakespeare is an interesting character. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end it there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I can't wait to talk to you again. I'm about to go on a trip, actually. On today's Thursday. On Saturday, I'm going to go to Luatla. That's where my dad lives. Luatla is a military base in the Northern Cape, and I'm excited to go. It's peaceful there. The stars look incredible because there's not a lot of light pollution, And I get to spend some time out in the outdoors on the grass. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna have a lot more time on my hands to do some reading. It's a bit of a struggle to do reading when you're in your day-to-day life. And that's gonna be what is gonna transpire over the next week or so. But I'll film an episode from there as well. So anyways, be good to yourselves, and see you next week.